Welcome, beautiful one, to our first podcast in the Phoenix Priestess podcast portal. I'm Jimena Mosquera, priestess and founder of the Sanctuary, and I'm inviting you today to this first podcast where this is a portal of permissions where you receive the most beautiful invitation to priestess your own power, to feel your own presence, and to gift those beautiful soul presence that are innately yours to give and to live out as. I'm here reminding you today with prayers, permissions, and practical practices to support you in your right rebirth remembrance. So today is a special day, January 20th. And although I'm not going to be getting into the logistics of what is happening in the United States of America, I do want to share with you a collective creative call out for us mystics, for us artists, for us healers who are ready for the rebirth, who are ready for a renewal time, who are ready to present their gifts. So let me share a little bit about the words power, presence, and presence, which are some of the major themes that we'll be weaving out through this podcast. Power. Power is like the juice and the vital energy fluid that lives in and through our essence. It means to be able, to be capable, to call our power back. So today I invite us to stand in that remembrance that power does not lie outside of us and that we are capable. It is our right responsibility, RITE, to remember that we are capable, that this yearning, that this longing, that this desire that we have to live in our innate power-filled essence is our birthright. This is not something that is given to us or that someone grants us permission. To be present is to be together and with all that has been. So that includes grief. That it includes everything that we've had to alchemize in order to get to the gifts. And so let's just speak it out loud and now. The elephant in the room will always be death. And our denial of death and our wanting to direct our own power over death, to control it, to speak as if it does not exist, to negate it, to try to quantify who gets to live or who gets to die or the how. But truly, it is part of what fuels us, of what gives us our life is death. And so I'll speak about Pluto, and I'll speak a lot about sacred systems that are here in our collective to allow us to be in co-creation with, in order for us to be in right relationship with our presence. Because our presence is that the artist, that the mother, that the maker births. So the presents are us. We are those great offerings. It's not just the things that we sell and how we sell them and how many we sell. The remembrance lies that we are that living prayer present. So I invoke in us this remembrance. This first poem lies in and as the first page in my soul poetry tarot book, Soul Satiation. You can find, if you'd like to buy it, have your own copy on the show notes. It's called Hallelujah. Life speaks to me. Life speaks to you. Will you recognize which song is sung to you? Love calling your name, singing your tune. She answering the call, hearing his ring. Our duty, taking the chance, making the choice to choose life today. As if death is who we serve and who fuels our existence, we can come to prostrate to both and alabar in love's name. Alleluia. So the present of Pluto in Aquarius. I'll get straight to the sacred systems. On this podcast, you're going to be hearing the weaving in and out of different systems. Take what you like, drop what you don't. But the present of Pluto in Aquarius, this transition that happened recently, and that will be happening for the next around 250 years. It is a time to remember as a collective that it is time to allow cataclysmic changes to happen. While being in right relationship with being that shepherd that wants to translate a collective message of union, of freedom, of togetherness. It's an air sign, so it is the communication. And today, words are being communicated that are still divisive. Today, words are communicated that are still hurtful. Today, words are communicated that just do nothing but shit. Throw shit on to others. And yet, we can be in right relationship with what words we are choosing to say, to speak, and to serve in this Aquarius time. So as technology, medicine, space, humanitarian movements, as these take charge in these next more than 200 years, may we be reminded to not overuse our power, to be mindful of what footprint we're leaving, at what cost are we going into modern times, into modern medicine, into modern space and technology, and into movements, at what cost? Is our carbon footprint, how much plastic we're using in medicine, how many things we're discarding in technology, and it's just sitting on the earth. Because at the core of what we're gifted in this time is a reconnection to our own divinity and our own daily devotion, practice, and rituals, that we are sacred beings that are here to be in right relationship with this sacred, beautiful vehicle of our body, the rest of the human collective, the rest of the living being species, and this beautiful earth. So if we go back around every 250 years, I don't know if you've heard, but let's go back the first era. That was the Age of Enlightenment, the French Revolution, the American Revolution. And how many things happened? Yes, things were conquered. Land was conquered. People were conquered. But the shadow aspect was, there was a lot of death. We were still using power over. Go back 250 years, and that was the Protestant Reformation, the Spanish conquest of the Aztecs. It was the Spanish Inquisition. It was diseases the diseases that were brought into the Aztec community and almost wiped it out. Again, death and disease. A time of deep disconnection still. You go back 250 years, the rise and the fall of the Mongol Empire, the Renaissance, the House of Ramses. Do you get the gist? When we think that our power lies in enacting our power over another human being, over land, over material objects, we will continue to cause more disconnection, more disparity, more disease, more death. Maybe remember that death is really not what we need to fear, but our own relationship or lack of relationship to what it means to be in service of death. Pluto is that entity that is known for its power, its ability to transform power into a rebirth season. May this be the beginning of us sharing our gifts, of being more present with all that is, and being in right relationship with our power and how we use our power, not over another, but in service of all. North Node in Pisces time at this moment is reminding us the transition of the North Node from Aries to the North Node in Pisces is reminding us just that we are all one. As we keep speaking judgment of another person, as we keep dividing ourselves into the who's right and who's wrong and who's more right and who's more wrong side, we forget that this time that we've literally entered into the North Node in Pisces for all of us is a time in our collective to remember that we are all one, that we all are dissolved back into the earth, back into the ethers, back into essence. I will give you a little parentheses. North Node in Aries. There's some shadowy shit out there. Check out, look up who has a North Node in Aries that is speaking out selfishly and in separation. And I'm just calling out the shadow of Aries and what we can all do. This is not about the calling out who does, who doesn't, but just noticing. I just want to speak mainly to the collective archetypes and show us that it is a beautiful mandala that can show us many different aspects. And the North Node previously was in Aries, and Aries is that beautiful, beautiful sign that goes first in astrology. It says, me go first. I love it. I want to come here. I want to come in here and show myself. I am the first. I raise my hand. But it can also become dictatorial, as if this is the only way to do a thing. And now we have moved into a North Node in Pisces season, which reminds us Pisces is the last sign in the zodiac. It's almost like the last jewel we have to pick up and remember within ourselves. That it is about our beautiful sacred gifts and how we share them, but we also share them to the collective for the greatest good of all, remembering that we are all one. We are leaving Capricorn season and entering Aquarius literally today. Like in this time that you are hearing this, whenever you hear it, just know that the essence of Capricorn is the sacred system setter. So Martin Luther King, today is Martin Luther King's Remembrance Day. His sun was in Capricorn. He was that sacred masculine that showed us how to create systems, sacred systems that were in service of the greater collective. And so as we enter Aquarius, may we be able to share this communication more broadly, be in service of it, while remembering that these shadow pieces, especially as we recognize our inner fires, to our beautiful LA people, for all of the people in the Middle East with Gaza and our Jewish community, for anyone who has been in the midst of the fire element. Fire obviously can burn down, like Pluto. You do need the rebirth where you let everything go to say, why did this happen? I trust, I ask God. When you hear me say God here, plug in AWE in between the G and the D. So imagine the wild mystery. We allow ourselves to literally drop down as in child's posture, just in deep prostrate, surrender mode of God, show me the higher reason. May I allow my fire, my vital juices, my heartbeat, which is our fire element, our vital passions, to be again in right relationship. May our actions be for the highest good, and may we not be in the mode of let's earn things down. Consciously and collectively, let's not keep burning down other people's homes, other people's lives, other people's cities and countries. It doesn't matter who it is. I've already given us the examples of what happened 250 years ago, and then you go back in time and time and time. Can we choose this time as one of peace? Can we stand that even in the most chaotic times, peace does exist, and it exists within each and every one of us. Peace is something that is picked up, that is penetrated inside of our being as one of the greatest permissions to enter into the anew paradigm, where we choose one of peace, where we remember that even on our last breath, we can still choose peace. in choosing peace, we're going back to the presence, to priestessing our presence, to being present, that we can be in this moment, knowing all of the chaotic things that are happening, and we can pick up the presence of peace. It doesn't even have to be picked up. It has to be allowed. To be felt. I'd love to read to you another poem that reminds us of the gift of Aries and the gift of Pluto, the gift of being that first. You are the first of you, like you are the one and only you that has existed and that will ever exist. And you came from your own calling out, I choose to be here. It's one of the greatest myths that we hear around our collective. And we hear, and I don't know if myth is the word, but you hear like you didn't choose your parents, you choose your friends, you choose your people who you're with. The truth is, in the mystic mandala, we all came in our own choosing. We chose those parents, we chose the family, we chose the location in order to have the permission to reenact a remembrance that needed to be rebirthed within us. Because one of the greatest human paradoxes is we forget. We come into this beautiful knowing, and then we forget. We forget, some of us forget quicker than others. But one of the greatest presents is one of remembering again that we did come in our own choosing, that things are happening for the highest good of ourselves and of the highest good around us. So even everything that we see outside of us that we want to shame and we want to judge, may we just take a moment to bless it all, to know that everything always really is happening for the highest good. And may we remember the magical child archetype that knows and has this innate, deep, infinite trust that sacred beauty lies even in the most harrowingly beautiful moments that have ever existed. So may this next poem I call my poetry soul songs. I call anyone's art basically soul songs. So however your art is birthed, to me it's a soul song. It's you within yourself singing out to your soul, to yourself. And sharing that beautiful message and service of all. It can be a physical object. It can be art. It can be music. It can be sacred systems that you create, like Martin Luther King, that still penetrate generation after generation, that invite us into the highest and most embodied expression of entering what I call ecstasy in essence, where we feel at peace. for this beautiful present of a life that we each have. So this poem is called Alone. Because to traverse even the darkest and deepest depths within ourselves, we actually do, well, we are invited, but we do traverse alone. And at the same time, the etymology of the word alone also means all in one. Again, Pisces, that we are all one. In this time where we believe there is nowhere to go, there is a place to turn. No longer a time to wait for the doctor, the priest, the teacher, the politician, the government, the other, to do it for us. Wholly into oneself, one in all. Your right remembrance bestowed already within. You, me, us, free for all to feed. Plug in there, the Pluto in Aquarius. Alone, as the name says it so, its ancient waves reverberating, not a modern marathon. Remember what I said of how we need to be taking in technology and medicine and space in this time of Pluto in Aquarius. It's not a modern marathon, people. Beautiful, beautiful peeps, including myself. We must traverse the portals of life and death alone. Wholly oneself. May it be a time of self-reckoning, acknowledgement, atonement, forgiveness. For all of the ways in which we have participated in our own disbelief that we are all alone. Plug in our beautiful little magical child archetype that wanted to come in to today's permission portal of remembrance. I'm going to say that one again. For all the ways in which we have participated in our own disbelief that we are all alone. In the modern sense of the word, that our actions do not have consequences. At the crossroads we are. An intimate inquiry boils to the surface, but not from a standpoint of choosing which or how many of us is saved. I know people are going to come at me with that one. Or how to sell or buy more secure safety. Plug in COVID time. But rather, how we can reckon as a human family to all of the ways in which we have all participated, purchased, and sold for the highest bidder. And at what cost have we? Remember the time, oh so many years ago, when plastic consumption was at its highest because we were trying to save lives, and at the same time, all of that plastic needs a place to live, which is on our earth, which is what we will then inhale, or our generations in the future will inhale. So any minute action has consequences. We must ask ourselves questions that we have not been willing to ask before. We must ask ourselves. I'm not saying ask another person. It's not to the other stated above. It's not to the other to save us from ourselves. It's as if we keep waiting for permission to be granted this right. As if this right is a right outside of us. And this right meaning our remembrance. And my invitation to us today to our own soul songs, waiting to sing to you, to me, to us, I call in trust. Trust thee. Trust thee and trust that grief portal that we must enter. It is not one, I promise you, dear beloved ones, it is not one that will birth our own demise. We so fear this with death. We want to keep it 6 feet apart. We want to not wish it onto us, but we're okay by saying, it's okay that they got this, but I wouldn't have gotten this. Again, that grief portal we must enter is not one that will birth our own demise. We have been sold faulty goods, a lie we keep selling to others, that death is not worthy of beauty. With its sheer sounds and echoing cries, washing wails that truly only want our metamorphosis. They want our bodies to become holy vehicles of wonder, of how to wander with devotion and wonder, rather than willing our own way forward in the name of securing safety. Amen. This year in numerology is a number 9 year, which means it is the culmination, yes, of a decade, but it's of a learning experience that we all must go to. In the MMM Sanctuary's flagship course, Metamorphosis, it's a 10-month sacred mystery portal. Why is it 10 months? And what does this relate to a 9 numerology year? Well, in the sacred sacred system of numbers and of symbolism and of the mystical ways, 9 is that time of letting go, of letting things die, of leaving space for what is to be birthed. For a mother, it's that time between who you were and who you will never be again. Once your child is born, you're never the same. That's 10, that's 1. In numerology, it's a rebirth season. At 9, between 9 and 10, it's not a complete ending. Everything that you have lived, everything that you have experienced, dear one, is lubricated back into your being. The more you experience it as a sacred, what they call a sacred earth school lesson, or however you want to call it. But there's a time between 9 and 10, and I call it 9 3/4. Thank you, Harry Potter. But I call it 9 3/4 because I call it the ring of fire time. It is that moment where vaginally your insides your insides and outsides as a birthing mother are on fire. You become the ring of fire. You go through that death portal, that fire portal that you must go through. That is 9 3/4, right before your child is coming out of you. It feels like you're on fire. And so may we remember that our soul's purpose, our soul's passions, may that be lit back on fire this year. May your soul shine, come back. You might still be in a winter season. Not only like in real time, because many people right now are actually living northern hemisphere, still in the winter, and then spring in the southern. But notice the beautiful paradox of life and death. The greater mandala that includes all. So right now, if you're still feeling like you're in a winter season, act like you're in a winter season, act like you're in a death season. You can't act as if you're in summer when you're in winter, or vice versa. Making peace with where you are is the greatest present that you can give yourself. So ask yourself, what season are you in? Plug in if you need support. My private sessions support you in seeing what season you're in and seeing the greater gifts that are wanting to be alchemized from the season that you were in. So then you can welcome the season that is to come and not just long for the season and negate the season that just passed and long for the future, because we're in North Node Pisces season, but the shadow of Pisces season is also escapism or addictions. So this is also a time in the shadowy realms of us all to remember to not get so addicted to calling people out, to escaping into the news, the collective fearful news that just is always leaking, to being in relationships that are not continuously feeding us fear and that news, but to keep that Pisces creativity, those intuitive, watery insights, because this is a powerful transformational time. A lot of people are going to be reawakening into their own sacred remembrance during this time. So may we remember to honor where we truly are first and foremost. Honor where we've been. Honor who has supported us. Honor our lineage, our karmic lineage, our ancestral lineage, our masculine line, our feminine line. In order for me to be speaking today here to you, it has taken me so many years of sacred healing, specifically with my father line, specifically the line that brought in my own choosing, my own soul gifts. So make peace again with where you are today. Water. Allow yourself to be surrounded by water during this season of your life. If you're in a fiery zone, every drop of water is a remembrance of what is needed to put out fires. And also to keep our own fire alive. When we die, the water inside of our human body literally leaves our body. Every ounce of water leaves it. So Notice that animation. Notice that one of the healing balms, one of your beautiful practical practices this season, this, and I am calling this, when I mean season, I'm actually calling the greater season of this 250-year cycle. So that's how I'm opening up this beautiful podcast. Thinking, what type of love legacy do we want to leave behind in our lineage? To our children and our grandchildren, to our sisters and our brothers, children and grandchildren. That needs our tears. That needs our lubrication. That needs our turn on. That is the water element. Obviously, getting in the ocean, getting in water and springs, being bounty filled with the beautiful words that you use. Aquarius, remember, is an air sign. So how you communicate in this time is one of the most precious gifts that you will be watering this sacred earth community with. How you speak to yourself, how you speak to your beloved children, your beloved partners, your beloved family. Regardless of what they've done to you in the past, you can still be kind and clear. Maybe remember the beautiful mystics today, starting with Martin Luther King. His moon was in Pisces, so his inner feeling realm was always reminding him that we are all one, that we must speak to this inclusivity, to this intimate knowing that we are interconnected, that we are intertwined, that we are interdependent. To all of the beautiful mystics who have come here to share their spoken word, their art, to share a message of peace, from Gandhi to ecstasy, Teresa de Avila, to Jesus, the King of forgiveness, and so much more. May on this day we remember to forgive ourselves, to forgive all of the ways in which we use power over ourselves. Like, I will get this done. I will get it done today. I will overpower my body. I will force my child. I will force my partner by using these words, by manipulating, by withdrawing love. There's so many ways in which Jesus reminds us to forgive. FOR:"give," to start giving to ourselves in this new way, so we can feel more united as one collective family. To all of the beautiful poets, and actually to this beautiful being that I actually wanted to be named, whose music has really touched me in this last year, John Baptiste, for sure is a mystic in our collective. Just as John Lennon was, just as Marley was. But John Baptiste, why do I want to give a shout out at John Baptiste? Because his North Node is in Aries. So he's showing us the opposite of what a sacred, masculine, human man, North Node in Aries, can do with his gifts. How he shares his music and he goes from one genre to another and takes us into this magical medley merry-go-round of the mystical journeys where we don't know where we're going. And we're just like, yes, take us there. Because he's willing to go there. He's willing to go there and traverse the depths and to bring forth those gifts, those soul songs for us. So I've just shared a little bit of what these mystics' soul songs were here, how they are here, were here to share and to serve. And obviously they have many other infinite ways in which they were and are here. But I leave us today. Thank you for listening all the way to the end if you are here. I leave us today with the deep permission, prayer. May we remember to trust in ourselves, to trust in our divine ways, in our daily devoted ways to create more beautiful offerings. First and foremost, remembering and trusting that we are that greatest offering, that in our wholeness we are a well of enoughness, of overflowing worthiness. And as we remember this sacred remembrance, all of the gifts that we share are perfectly so when we are in right relationship. Right, when you hear, right, think that right means rite of passage, not right or wrong. So each one of us are in our own rites of passage. We're in our own sacred contracts with these rites of passages internally. And may we remember that each season is perfect as it is. That whatever you are living at this very present moment is for the highest good. And may you remember to see that even in the most minute ways, you can be that sacred vehicle of a gift for yourself. That's the Aries that we're moving, the North Node in Aries, for yourself and for others and for all. Amen, beautiful, beloved ones. Thank you for joining me today.